evening and welcome to Meticulous Moments. My name is Juanita Kapp. You can reach me at meticulousmacarons@gmail.com or find me on LinkedIn. Since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the globe, I've had the wonderful privilege to meet a wide array of fantastic individuals. These individuals have truly touched my life in so many positive ways. Amongst this group of people, there are authors, public speakers, life coaches, poets, leaders, and visionaries. They are the unsung heroes of our time. Therefore, I decided to start the Meticulous Moments movement out of a sense of my gratitude. It is my way of giving back to the community. Let us share and reshare their stories in an effort to build a better society. Today we have the privilege of spending time with the wonderful, amazing and extremely intelligent Mario Toruno, MBA CSM. Mario is helping you become the difference by releasing your phoenix. He is a coin carrier, creative visionary and futurist that talks about future of health. He speaks about the metaverse, artificial intelligence, blockchain, strategy and leadership. We also want to place focus on Liviana.com. Here is a little bit more information about Liviana. We are the first Live Better platform connecting patients, caregivers, and health enthusiasts that improves the outcomes through community interaction because we want you to live Yana, no matter the health journey. This is going to be a very interesting session and we are going to make Mario's contact details available at the end of the session. So look for those, network with him, follow him on social media. And with that, we just want to say, welcome, Mario Toruno. Good day, Meticulous Moments audience. Today we have the wonderful pleasure of spending some time with my good friend, Mario Toruno. Welcome, Mario.
Thank you, Juanita. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for asking. Did you have a good week?
Yes. Had a good week. I was at a conference all week. So that was very great in seeing, old faces, making some new faces and friends and really figuring out where we're going as an industry. It was actually really enlightening.
Fantastic, Mario. We are so blessed to have you on the show with us today. Would you please just introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. So my name is Mario Toruno. I am a health tech executive by day. So I'm the founder of a few side projects that I have. One is called Liviana. And Liviana's goal is to bring hope back into the health journey. You can check that out at liviana.com. We're also on the App Store and Play Store. And I'm also head of tech for another company called Dr. Now, both startups. And Dr. Now actually plays in health remittance in actually the African market. So one thing that we do there is we think, okay, when you leave home, you're also leaving a lot of loved ones back home, right? Mm-hmm. And this healthcare system isn't always up to par, especially when you come to countries like the United States at points, right? Depending on where you live and your income status and things of that sort. So we try to help create connections to a marketplace that allows you to give your loved ones back home the proper care, right? So you can actually get on our app and you can, get a doctor, subscription based, if a doctor's not needed, you can get a nurse. And it's really to, check in on your loved one, make sure everything's happening the right way and things of that sort. So the first one's about bringing hope back into the health journey. And in that platform, we actually connect patients, caregivers, and the wellness communities, for better outcomes. That's Liviana, and then Dr. Now is all about health remittance in the third world emerging markets, concentrating on Africa and Latam.
Wow, that's wonderful work. It's something that's very important because I often hear these days people saying that health is really your wealth. And you are actively busy in that arena, helping people to help their families enjoy a good, healthy lifestyle and good health.
Yes. Yeah. And it's in every facet. My day job, Knowledge Consulting, right? We support the war fighters, right? So that's like a military government-based consulting firm. And it's all about that, right? Being able to help the service members come back healthier, come back better, right? To their families. Much like, Liviana, right? Bringing back health and wellness into your life, right? Through this platform, right? Dr. Now bringing back health and wellness to your loved ones back home, right? So they don't have to go through those journeys of 5 hours or 6 hours just to get to the hospital, and then a couple hours just to be seen, right? That's an 8-hour day and you're not even back home yet, right? Absolutely. So that's really, a big piece of where my heart is and my passion is, helping people not only bring back hope, but understanding that health and wellness really is, to an extent, a big part of your mental state.
Yes.
A lot of times people don't recognize the importance of health until your health is lost.
Very true.
Like that, you're like, okay, I got to get healthy now, right? But is it too late? Maybe not. Hopefully it isn't. But these platforms that have different capabilities to bring that to you.
Yeah. I love the approach that you take, because I'm finding two things. You are bringing hope while you are spreading awareness. And that is, a wonderful thing to do. You're not condemning people. You're telling them, here's the hope. We want you to be healthy. We want your families to be healthy. But just be aware that if you are not following a healthy lifestyle now, by the time you realize you are living the wrong way, it might be too late, as you've mentioned. So that's a wonderful approach.
Yeah, and it's a very personal approach, to be honest, Juanita. So one thing to know about my journey is, at one point I weighed, 340 pounds, right? Yeah. And then that forced me to really take a hard look at myself and say, okay, I'm 340 pounds. My blood work looks like I'm dying. So I have to figure this out.
Wow.
Right now, I'm fortunate that my wife's a physician. She forced me into figuring it out too.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's wonderful.
And that in itself went a long way. Right. And then what was the result? I lost 100 plus pounds.
Amazing.
Sorry about that.
That's amazing. Well done. I commend you on that journey, because it couldn't have been easy, to get from where you were to where you at today. It really had to take the courage to stand up and to realize and to say, I want to make this change, and this is something I am going to do, and to stick to that, exercise regime and everything that you made a part of your daily routine. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And to be honest, that's what bred a lot of Liviana, right? My own personal journeys, the journeys of my wife, the journeys of my brother-in-law, my brother. Those are the things that you kind of like, okay, what's missing in this system, right? With my brother, he was 16 years old. He gets type 1 diabetes. We never even knew what diabetes was, right? So again, right? Everyone was healthy until it was taken away from you. And then when it was taken away from us, right? Because we're also caregivers to my brother. It's not just my brother's journey. It's our journey with him as well now.
Yes.
Right? So now, what do we do? Right? Where do we go? We never heard of this thing. And one of the biggest things missing is I started reflecting in my own journey, my brother's journey, other people's journeys, is there's no real platform that says, hey, patients and caregivers can learn from each other, right?
Love that.
A lot of times I tell people, while what you're going through is really central to you, right? That's a personal you thing, right? What I felt when I was losing my weight, when I felt when I was overweight, when I felt the fact that, okay, this blood work looks crappy and I'm dying, right? That's personal to me. But all the results of that, right? The science behind that, that's universal, right?
Yeah.
For example, I'm in the United States. You're in Africa, right? It's the same thing. It doesn't matter where you live, right?
Yes.
Whether you're in Africa, Latin America, or my family's from here where we live, that issue is a global issue. So the goal is to bring everyone together to learn at a global scale.
Yes, yes. That's the gift that you are giving them. You are bringing the knowledge that you have, because personally you know how it has restored you, and because you have a heart for humankind and for other people, and you're a strong leader, you want to bring that knowledge to them to bring about community upliftment. And I can say I can relate from Meticulous Moments side to that, because what we want to do is bring community upliftment through leadership development. And here we are discussing how you led yourself out of a dangerous situation into new life and family and hope and future. So that's an amazing testimony. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and that's what shapes you, right? That's what these trials and tribulations, right? And everyone's is different, right? Some of them are more dramatic, some of them are less dramatic, but the goal is to be able to continuously learn, right? Continuously adapt to that changing environment that you're always going to be going through. Right. And that's not just in health, right? That's in your professional life. That's in your personal life. You know, that's with your kids. That's with your family, right? Being able to adapt, right, is the ultimate ability to not only survive, but succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. You've said two things that are like music to my ears. You've said that we have to be able to adapt because we keep on learning. That's something that I always want leaders to grasp. And the other thing that you said is that it's inevitable that things change. And we spoke a little bit before the session, and I remember saying also to you that change is the only constant. And then you mentioned two wonderful things. I want you to please share that with the audience.
Yeah.
You said there are two things that are constant.
I always tell people on my end that the only two constants in life is change and death. You'll never escape those two things, you know, and how you approach change is how you're pretty much gonna, you know, be remembered once you die, right?
I love that.
You go through those tribulations, how you force yourself either out of whatever you're going through, or you know, the opposite, right? But the goal, you know, should always be to continue forward and to continue to grow, right? As a human, to help the world, right? And I know that sounds like really like cliche, but you know, from my perspective, a lot of what I do, a lot of my passion comes from, I want to be known as someone when I die that, you know, made an impact to this globe, right? I don't really care about the money, right? Money comes and goes, right? But
it's a
being
tool.
able to be in people's hearts, like to me, that's the ultimate.
Yeah. I feel like saying you are teaching people that the choices they make is going to be the lives that they live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's very powerful. And you spoke about the conference that you were at this week, and it sparked interest with me. And would you like to elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, sure. You know, I was at a health conference, military health conference, because at Knowledge, that's our business. And you know, it was great, you know, seeing how people have approached their different problems, right? Learning from people, right? And then also being able to say, you know, I approached the same problem in this manner, which then allows, you know, the whole continuum of, you know, people to ingest, okay, I have this problem. Mario's group approached it like this. This might work for me, or it might not work for me, right? But the goal is to be able to come out with different ideas, right? To be able to not only like resolve your problems, but maybe even also think about what your next 18 months looks like, or 24 months looks like, right? You know, and I think, you know, from my perspective, you know, I was telling you earlier, you know, when I was in a discussion, you know, and I'm big on following the spirit, you know, as I've grown older, I've gone into this like this type of mindset. And, you know, the spirit was kind of telling me, you know, just talk to this guy and, you know, tell him what you think. And, you know, I did, you know, and I gave a few recommendations on scaling and a book to read, which is Masters of Scale by Reid Hoffman, which is a huge thing. Because a lot of times when I look at applications, when I look at technology being built, the hardest part isn't the actual beginning of building it. The hardest part is actually scaling it and maintaining it, right? And a lot of times to scale, you do the opposite of what it is to scale, right? Which is really understanding what your people need, you know, but at a very like deep user-centric level, right? Almost like that human-centered design level.
Yes. Now that's leadership right there. You know, you're taking your time to approach him and to invest into his life. and to give him some sense of direction. And I love the fact that you are an innovative leader. I think we need more innovative leaders in society. I think sometimes we get so used to the training that we've done, the experience that we have, that sometimes we procrastinate. And a way to fight that procrastination is to try and think of innovative ideas. And you've mentioned that it's not today that is supposed to be our focus. We should be focusing to the future, and that's part of your innovative leadership. What is your view on that? Yeah.
No, that's just it. A lot of times, what you're doing today is already being maintained, right? You're already doing it, right? So from my perspective, it's where are you going, right? Whether it's you as a company, right? You as an individual, you as a family member, where do you want to take your family, your company, you as an individual? Right.
Yes.
And then what does that actually look like? Right. And mapping out how that looks is the future of anything. Right. The biggest thing when it comes to growth, right, and I truly believe this, is in order to grow in every shape and form, right, every way, shape, and form, is to be able to be a little bit uncomfortable every step of the way. Because you don't grow in comfort. You grow in discomfort because you're forced to grow. Comfort doesn't force you to do anything but stay the same.
Put yourself out there. I always say to the leaders that I work with and the people that I train, leaders pursue the difficult route. They don't take the easy route because they want to stretch themselves. They want to gain more knowledge. They want to feel uncomfortable and unsure. There's something good in feeling unsure about something new that you are learning. It teaches you humility as a leader. You have to pursue what's difficult, and you have to be aware of the fact that sometimes you're going to try things and you're not going to be the best at them at your first try. But then try again, and again until you've mastered that skill. That's leadership.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a very strong point. The biggest thing that I really believe is that a lot of what I'm doing is to help my own community. Right, the African community, because my wife's African, right? The Latin community, because I'm Latin. And a lot of what you're talking about to me resonates because it's every fall that I have, every challenge that I overcome, it's one less thing that the generation behind me has to overcome. Right? It's one less thing they have to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how I view it. Right. My goal, by the time I leave this earth is to not have made an impact in health, with Liviana and Dr. Now and all this from a federal perspective, but to also make an impact in my community, right? Being able to put, Hispanics and African kids in the boardroom, right? Being able to climb that mountain so they just climb a hill, right? That's the biggest goal.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that is something that you are progressively working towards. And I really, from our side, from my side, see that you are making that impact and that you should carry on with the good work that you're doing because you are touching on a very, very important point. We need more leaders to invest in that arena. Absolutely. Their time, their energy, their expertise. Absolutely. Great. So tell us more, Mario, about your description. I saw on your LinkedIn profile, you wrote, helping you become the difference by releasing the phoenix. I love that. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. That was a lot of self-reflection and trying to figure out what that's going to be called. It's so what I do, on the side, and I don't make anything off of it, it's out of my heart. Is I mentor, people that reach out to me. Right. My journey resonates and they ask different things. If they want to be mentored, I mentor them. And the releasing your phoenix is around that aspect of what I do. So, for example, everyone knows the phoenix is that bird that gives rebirth to itself, right? It burns up and then comes out even more beautiful.
Yes.
Right. I believe that there are a lot of people that are walking around that aren't tapping into their phoenix, right? Their potential, right? Their ambitions, for whatever reason. It doesn't matter the reason. So the goal of Release Your Phoenix when I mentor people is for them to really be able to dig deep, right? And burn and shed their old self and come out anew, come out stronger, come out faster, come out harder, right? To really be able to understand right? The growth happens in those terms, right? And
Yes.
from my perspective, you know, a lot of times people get disheartened. A lot of times people, you know, kind of give up when they have so many no's, right? Or when they have, you know, so many obstacles, right? And one of the things that I mentor into the people that I talk to, because a lot of times they're either kids in college or kids coming out of college into the workforce, and every so often it's you know, executives, but it's about what no are you getting, right? Not about the no. It's about what no are you getting, right? And I think, you know, learning that from one of the books that I read, I think it was Masters of Scale, really actually impacted me because, you know, me being in the startup world as well, right? Outside of my 9 to 5, you get a lot of that,
Yes.
right? Like you better get used to that. And I'm still getting it sometimes, right? With Liviana and Dr. Now and stuff. We get that, right?
Yeah.
But the goal is to understand the no that you're hearing, right? So, for example, is it the no that no, you're not my market, right? Fine, I'm not your market. You know, on to the next one, right? Or is it the no that I love your idea, but you're not there yet, right? You're not monetizing on it yet, right? Or is it the no that you're making money, but it's more of like a proof of payment versus actually making money, right? So how do you even know this is going to work when you launch it, right?
Yeah.
And those are all very real no's that you know, me and the teams have encountered, right, throughout
Yes.
our journeys in both of those projects that we have going on.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, being able to rise above those no's, being able to rise above that, and then as you keep growing in your leadership career, or as you keep growing in your regular career, because not everyone is going to want to be a leader, right? There are great people that I think would be great leaders. They're like, listen, like, this is not my cup of tea. I do not want to deal with that. You know, I do my job very well, and that's where I want to be, and that's fine, right?
Of course.
And then for the ones that want to be leaders, it's a little bit different. It's like, okay, I want to take on more responsibility. You know, you will fail at points. But understanding how to go rise above those failures, reflect, learn, repeat, right? And not repeat what you did, repeat what you were trying to do after your reflection, because now you got lessons learned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think sometimes people are afraid to let that phoenix rise because they are fearful of other people's opinions of them. So when they tell me about that, I say, well, leaders have to be thick-skinned. You are going to have to be thick-skinned if you want to be successful. And the second thing I tell them is that when you fail, the failure is not a reflection on you personally. It just shows that you have to, you know, tweak your plan, re-look at your goal, make sure you are recalibrating your resources, and try again. Because people internalize failure. They internalize the no. The no becomes something personal, and it's really not. It is people that are just, you know, maybe pointing you in the right direction. So let the no's, instead of making you stay in the ashes, let them become your stepping stones to your road to success, and let them keep you, you know, guessing what you should do tomorrow, planning, brainstorming. I'm coming back to innovation, finding new ways to do things to make sure that you attain, that you achieve, and that you reach your plans and your goals. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and one of the things that I think has resonated with me, which we were talking about, was, you know, it reminded me of one of the stories where I was mentoring a young man who was really frustrated. Like, you know, he's doing great, but he's really frustrated. Didn't feel like he was getting support from certain people, or, you know, things of that sort. And I said, take a step back.
Wow. Yeah.
Are they really your market? Does it really matter? Because let's be honest, if that's what you're going through with you know, these different, you know, people or activities, all that's telling you, right, is it's not your market.
Yes.
So move to the market.
Good advice.
Right?
Good advice. Great advice. Changing that
pivot.
perspective. Yeah.
Because the
One,
important thing to do, right, Juanita, is to understand where to pivot and where to persevere, right?
yes, I like
And
that.
if you would have started to try to persevere in that market, it would have not worked. He needed to
Yes,
pivot. He needed to pivot and find the actual focus in the market that actually was for him. You know, and I
yeah,
think he did that, and he's doing really great now. But yeah, that pivot and persevere mentality, right? And then again, you choose which to do as you
yeah.
reflect on what you're going through, right? These aren't
Wonderful.
things, if you want to succeed, they're not things that you just do out of a whim. No, you're going to fail
Mm,
that way. You got to really think and
yeah.
digest and
Excellent.
take in, right? Even roadmap it on your vision board. Doesn't matter how you do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But understanding where you're going to pivot, if you're going to pivot, or
Mm,
understanding
mm,
what are these key points of why I want to persevere. It doesn't make sense,
yeah.
right? And being truly honest with yourself as you go through those journeys.
Yes. Maximum effort, putting in that maximum effort. That's some powerful advice right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, to pivot. Wonderful. Absolutely. I love that. And it brings me to my next question. You
Mhm.
hold an MBA qualification.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your years of study and what stood out for you with regards to self leadership?
Yeah, we actually talked about this before the show. So it's funny. You're literally the first one to ever ask me that. I've never reflected on my self leadership. I've never reflected on okay, guiding myself to what I want to do, right? Or
Yeah.
guiding myself to the goal that I have for myself, right? I've always been more of guiding other people and letting me be their bouncing board on ideas and moving forward. And I started reflecting on that. And I think, or I know after reflecting on it, that that's what led me to my MBA.
Wow.
As I started reflecting on that question, I said, okay, why did I go to the MBA school? I mean, I was fine in my career.
Yeah.
I was already a leader. I was already an innovator. I was already known for that. But as I was continuing reflecting, I realized there's certain skills that I didn't have, right? Understanding of just the game, I called it, right? And to
Yeah.
me, the MBA in getting that, it gave me the tools that I needed and the understanding of what this game really is. I was talking about this to someone actually yesterday, and I was like, think about it.
Yeah.
If you understand the game, then
Yeah.
you understand all these things around you, not just the stock market, right? But
Yeah.
just how companies react and behave according to where they are, right? How they take advantage of different aspects of tax code, how they take advantage of different aspects of growth, right?
Yeah.
How they approach segmentation, how they approach marketing,
Yeah.
and to me, the MBA was an incredible journey where I met a lot of, life long lasting friendships. I mean, almost that's the whole cohort, to be honest. And
Yeah.
it really gave you a full perspective because I didn't go to a professional MBA school. I went to a global executive MBA program.
Yes.
So a
Yeah.
lot of people in that program were already executives that had 20 years under their belt. They were doing very well in their career, right? And that allowed us as executives to really trade ideas, right? Because now we're talking about different industries, right? One guy's in banking, one guy's in health, that's me. Another guy's in like health but robotics type stuff, another person's in real estate. But what it does is it kind of creates a collective genius of people, right? And I don't
Yes.
know if, and there's a book called Collective Genius. If your audience or you haven't read, please read it. It's by Linda Hill. It's incredible, actually. But it's this collective genius of people that now you have all these different aspects and all these different industries in one room with the same problems with different approaches.
Wow. Yes.
Right? So now you're learning from, okay, well, real estate guy did it this way. Is that going to work for me? I don't know. Let's try it. Or, Mario did it this way. Is that going to work for me? Who knows? Let's try it. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. But I think it's just that collective genius of ideas and people in the room with the vast experiences and vast like stories that for me made a massive impact in the MBA school. I ended up going to University of Miami, right? It fit more for my family, but it's an incredible school. It's very well known, especially in
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. I always tell people leaders are problem solvers. And you were mentioning that different arenas or study fields look at the problem and they solve it from their point of view, from their expertise. And that just brings us again to the fact that there is more than one answer to any problem.
Yes.
And you were speaking about perspective earlier, and it's bringing to light that it depends on your perspective.
Yes.
So we can learn something from that. We can say, well, if I'm facing as a leader this problem, maybe I should change my perspective, which brings us back to the fact that you spoke about pivoting your plan or your goal or your strategy. Amazing. I could just imagine how wonderful it must be to be in the presence of so many gifted people, so many intelligent, innovative leaders while you were doing MBA.
It was incredible. I mean, it was an incredible journey. It was a fantastic journey. A lot came out of it. I've mentored, some of the people that I mentor, I've mentored them into getting an MBA because they've always asked me about it.
Wow. Amazing.
I mean, one of them recently graduated from OU. I was very proud of him for that. But it's that a lot of times also from a corporate America perspective, it's also that next step, right? Getting that education, getting like, in essence, you're upskilling yourself, right? You're uptooling yourself.
You have
right?
to. Yeah.
And that's that, and that's just not just within the MBA, but people got to look at that also from a professional and personal perspective.
Yes, absolutely. I had a very interesting discussion on one of the Meticulous Moments interviews. And it was also a corporate executive. And we discussed the fact that you have to have that education with the experience to make that impact. Because what a lot of people have is experience, but they often don't gain the education that they need, and they miss out on opportunities. And then you have the others that have they went to the master's level or PhD level, they have the MBA or other qualifications, but they simply lack the experience. So it's good to know that you need both. You have to have both. You have to actively pursue both.
No, I 100% agree with that statement. Me being in the tech field and in the health tech side and digital health side.
Yeah.
I always tell people that are coming in fresh, you're going to learn what pieces of what you learned need to be burned and what pieces of what you learned actually make sense to keep.
Wow.
And that's the journey that you're about to start. Right, if you're coming out of your bachelor's program, right?
Fantastic.
And that is what's going to drive your experience, and then the accumulation of all your experience after that, right? With upskilling yourself, right? Sharpening the tool, right? Sharpening that knife or that sword, right? Loading that weapon, right? To become more efficient, more effective, if you will, right? To me, that's what those graduate programs do, right? If like you can definitely get into a graduate program with, a lot of people do it, right? Bachelor straight into graduate program, right? That's not bad. It's fine, right?
Yes.
But to me, I think to get the most out of a graduate program, if you come in there with at least 5 years of experience, now you got a lot more substance because now you've lived a little. Right. Now you can actually say, okay, I've gone through these different things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Versus, if you go from graduate to or bachelor's to graduate to PhD, it's not a bad thing to do that. You can do that, right? You're still going to gain a lot of experiences through internships and things of that sort. But it's not going to be that raw and uncut experiences that you're going to experience coming straight into the workforce after it.
Yeah. True. Combination of that is very, very important. Honing your skills, polishing your skills, and you as an individual. It shapes us as people. Yeah.
No, it does, and I think also, to be honest, in doing that, it also might redirect your passion.
Yeah,
You might
interesting.
figure out, you know what? I got a major in accounting and I hate accounting. But I somehow, you know, in accounting, whatever you're doing, you might have been using technology. Oh, but I love technology. That might be your pivot, right?
Yes.
Or you might realize, oh, you know, I graduated a computer science degree and I don't like coding at all, and I don't want to be a developer, and I don't want to do these things, right? And that could be your pivot, maybe into a consulting type role, right?
Yeah.
So it's accumulation of experience and not just like work experience, but personal experiences, right? And I think it goes back to that earlier question that you asked me, which is self-leadership, because that's where you start developing your self-leadership perspectives, right? Where do you want to grow into?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know for a fact that you're a wonderful mentor because you speak hope into people's lives. You know, it is devastating for someone that has achieved a master's, you know, in some sort of field and to realize later in their life, that's not really what they want to do.
Yeah.
So what you help to do, as I'm gathering through this conversation, is you help them to pivot and to still be successful, to not feel like they've wasted those years of study, to show them that they've made it this far, they are able to continue to still be successful and happy, because we want to be happy with what we do.
Mm-hmm. Happiness is what drives you, and if you're not happy, everyone around you won't be happy either, especially if you have a family.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we would love to learn more about your main products. I know you mentor. We know the line of work that you are in. What are your main products, activities? Because we would love to become involved and we would love to support you.
Yeah, so the main products would be Liviana. So Liviana is that Live Better platform that we created, you know, where everyone can literally come and learn from each other. They're going through different health journeys. Right. And again, the goal of Liviana, right, is to bring back hope into that health journey. Right. And it stands for it. Right. So Liviana actually stands for live because you are not alone. And that's the most important piece of it. Right. People understanding that no matter what you're going through in health, whether it's physical or mental, you're not alone in that journey. And there are a lot of people you can learn from in that journey. Right. And that's that Liviana platform, the Liviana product. Right. Yes. We're actually fully out right now. I mean, you can download us on the App Store, download us on the Play Store, and actually become part of the conversations. Right. It's real easy, right? Step 1, get on your App Store, Play Store. Step 2, download the app. Right. Step 3, use the app. Right. And that's it. You know, I would say, you know, to your audience that in the next week or so, we're going to start charging for the app. So if you get in it now, you'll get in it for free. Right. I'm not going to charge anyone that's already in it. We're already about 100 plus members in the community of Liviana. But as Liviana matures, it is becoming a paid platform. So take advantage if you want. Now, the other one that we're doing that I would say is Dr. Now, you know, and I would say for that one, reach out to me. You know, my information is mario.toruno@liviana.com. We can talk more about Dr. Now. That's actually being modernized right now. And then once that comes to the market, you know, the whole purpose of that is to bring back health to your families back home, right? A lot of us from other countries go to other countries, whether it's the United States or Europe or wherever, right? You go and you sometimes leave, you know, your loved ones in a health system that's always not optimized with the greatest. Right. So Dr. Now is that platform that allows us to bring a marketplace to our users and our subscribers to provide better outcomes. Right. And that even includes, you know, pharmacy delivery services, if you include it as part of your package. Right. It's one at our lowest package, it's 2 visits a month where we have a provider go out to your loved one to make sure everything's okay. And then if it's needed, also one telehealth consult a month, right? If a provider comes and says, you know what, I think you need to talk to a doctor, right? Because a lot of times the people that are going out are being nurses or nurse practitioners. So Those two projects, I would say, are the main lines of business that I do. Right. For anyone listening that's on the federal health side of it, definitely reach out to me. That's for Knowledge Consulting. Right. And that's where I do a lot of health tech innovation and digital health innovation within the military constructs.
Yeah.
And, my information is simple. It's mario.toruno@knowledgeconsulting.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn as well for either any three of the ones I just mentioned. Where my whole goal is always to help people in any way, shape, or form that I can.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you are actively out there making a positive difference. You are leading. You are bringing products to the market to assist people enjoy a good life. And we are wondering, where did this start? Did it start in your childhood? Was there a defining moment in your life that you knew you were going to lead? Where did it start? Did it start when you decided to change your life, or as a child? When did you realize Mario is going to be a leader, and he's going to be a leader in society on a large scale? What was that defining moment?
I know one of the things that I've always heard from people was my natural ability to lead people. Never knew what that really meant. But in early 2000s, there was an opportunity that came up to be able to lead the first tech team that I would ever lead. And I didn't know what I was getting into. I just always heard, you're natural with people and you're a leader by nature, it's kind of a thing. And I never forget, even my high school principal would tell me that. He always say, what are you doing? Like, come on, and go this direction. And in that, I ended up getting that opportunity. And I learned a lot of lessons actually in that first realm of leadership. And, one of my good friends, she's like a sister of mine, gave me the first book I ever got in leadership. And she's like, Mario, you need to read this book. It's very short, and that time I was, on planes a lot. I traveled a lot for work. Yeah. So right on the plane, I said, wow. So the book actually was Who Ate My Cheese, right? And Who Ate My Cheese is about those three little mice, and they all have their own different personalities, their own different ways of doing things, right? And that was the first book that I read as a leader. But I think what ended up taking away from that story was that being a leader is a lot more than just telling someone what to do. It's inspiring them what to do. Yeah. Right. There's a huge difference between being a leader and being a boss. There's a massive difference.
Yeah.
A boss dictates authority to you. A leader inspires authority in you.
I mean, right. Yeah, I love that.
And that's a lot around what servant leadership is as well, right? It's being able to inspire people, being able to empower people, right? A lot of times bosses micromanage people, right? What's going on in trying to get involved. If you're micromanaging someone, to me, that means you probably have hired someone that you don't fully trust, and you probably should have never hired them. Right?
True.
From my perspective, I hire people I trust, and I touch point. What do you need from me? What door do you need me to break down? Okay. Yeah. I'll break down that door. I'll be back. It's very servant based, right? It's very, empowering based, right? And, a lot of times, they say, hey, what do you think about this? I'll sit down and say, okay, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Because I'm very technical, right? I was an engineer by trade, so I'm very, very technical. And, if I have to be that, that grunt on the ground, fine. I'll be that grunt on the ground. To me, a team doesn't succeed or fail if you have a boss, right? A boss will blame you for that failure. Right? Literally, a boss will say, oh, well, hey, you know what? My team failed. It wasn't me, it was them. Right? With me, it's different. It's not me, it's we. If we fail, if we're going to fall, we are going to fall as a team, and we're going to fail as a team. And I will do everything in my power for us to succeed. But if we still fail, we fail. Right? But I will be right there every step of the way in the weeds, in the trenches with you if I need to be. Right.
Wow.
Even if that's me being on a call doing nothing, but just having that moral support to you guys.
Mm.
Knowing that, you know what? It's 10 o'clock at night. You guys need to hop on a call. I'll hop on that call with you, even though I can't touch a keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Or it's
Love
10
that.
o'clock at night and you need me to actually do, you know, a code-based check or code or whatever. Then I'll do that. Like, to me, it's whatever needs to happen with your team, but not you dictating to your team, you being a part of that team.
Yes, yes, I love that. I did a post on LinkedIn a while ago where I said, I've heard about micromanagers. I've not heard about micro leaders. When you lead, make sure you lead well.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you for that powerful explanation. I love that. And I would love to know, how has being involved with contracts in the military shaped you as a leader?
I mean, that environment definitely shapes you. You know, I mean, a lot of times, you know, it's about accountability, right? And then holding yourself accountable to be able to do the right thing or say that you did the wrong thing. You know, and a lot of times, you know, saying, you know, I messed up is really hard for anyone to do.
Yes.
Right. And, you know, I think in my experience in my career within that journey of mine, it's still a journey of mine because, you know, I'm still in the federal world, you know, as a knowledge consulting executive, is being able to say, you know what? We messed up.
Yeah.
I'll fix it, but we messed up. And being able to be humble enough to understand that you messed up. Like, I'll never forget, you know, where, you know, I remember one of the first things that I was told, you know, by another mentor of mine when I started my leadership journey was, Mario, you got to be like Ronald Reagan. I was like, all right, well, what does that mean? Because I'm Latin, and I don't know, you know what that means to me. And he's like, well, you gotta trust but verify. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes
and
sense.
There are points, you know, where I have failed in the verification point because I trust my people a lot, right? So I'm like, okay, they'll get it done, you know. And I failed on a verification point, and then someone comes back and says, why wasn't this done? Right. And I got to be able to say, that's on me. I thought it was done. I saw something happen. So I figured it was going the right way. And I failed in verification. And being able to say that to someone, right? Being able to say, you know, being that transparent to me is what I think a lot of times is missing in general. You know, and I think, you know, transparency, you know, breeds trust, but also transparency to me, you know, it breeds the credibility of a person, right? You saying, being able to be that transparent, right? Being able to put yourself out there, to me, that means a lot, right? Whether the other person reciprocates or not, that's going to be on that person. But you as a human being, and you know, do what's right with your spirit. And sometimes, you know, being able to say I was wrong, being able to say, you know, hey, you know, we messed up goes a long way. And I think in our world, within that perspective, you know, in leading high visibility, you know, projects, you know, on the military contract side, sometimes you have to do that, right? And I think that shapes you alone as a leader.
Yeah,
you know, because now as a leader, you're learning what? Not only ownership, right, of your team, but taking full responsibility of your failures and successes as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, being authentic, being transparent, having that ownership, and it builds a stronger team.
Yeah.
And it formulates that bond of trust, not just from you as a leader to the team, but your team then trusts you more, making them want to give you more, give you their best, putting in that maximum effort because they respect you and they want your guidance. That's amazing. I love that. Absolutely wonderful answer. Thank you so much, Mario.
No, you're very welcome.
How often do you engage in personal and professional development activities?
I'm getting better at that now. I'll be 100% honest. I was not that great at it. I would say prior to the MBA school, not a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But after going through that journey, I have invested a lot more in self-development. Professional development, I kind of always did. You know, that in my world, you got to really stay on top of what's happening and what's coming and things of that sort. But on the personal side, and then the professional side, you know, from like an executive perspective, not like an engineering perspective, and I think that's now happening a lot more for me. You know, and I think my eyes really open. And I told you this story, you know, where in the executive program that I was a part of, you know, they give us an executive coach. And the executive coach, you know, makes you take all these different, you know, types of exams and start talking to you. Right. I was telling you, right? Like she made me take an arrogance exam. She was like, "Are you arrogant?" I was like, "I don't know." I mean, she's like, "I'm going to tell you that you have a very strong presence and you have a lot of confidence, and you're probably coming off to people as very arrogant." And I was like, "Really?" So I take this exam, you know, and I come out as highly arrogant. and, you know, and I'm like, no. So I do a self-study of Mario. I said, okay, if this thing is telling me it's arrogant, and my coach who hardly knows me is telling me that I'm arrogant at times, then I got to fix that. But I got to find out, am I really that arrogant? So I started just asking people, right? People that I work with, people that I know, people that I'm friends with, my family members. And it comes back that in the beginning of getting to know me, you can be very arrogant. Because of your confidence and your presence and you know, the way you speak at times with, you know, with authority, like you're right.
Yeah. Knowledgeable.
And I said, okay, that's interesting. So in that aspect, you know, then I was like, went back to the coach. I said, okay, yeah, so yeah, apparently I am. You know, I did a study and yeah, it looks like I am. So I had a point there, right? A decision point of, do I learn how to control my presence and my confidence, or do I say, you know what, this is who I am, I'm not going to change, I don't care? Right? I learned, and I'm still learning, to be honest, how to control my presence and my confidence, right? And a lot of it is the way you talk through tonation, the way your body is actually moving, right? How your hands move, how your head moves, how your eyes move. So I think I've come a long way with it, but there's always you know, work to do around it. Right. But I think that experience threw me into the professional development part of it. Right. It threw me into me understanding that I probably am going to need an executive coach at some point in my career, which I never thought about until that experience. Right. You always think about coaching people and helping people go further for them. Right. But it never goes back to, you know, I never thought a lot about that self-leadership stuff. Right. So now, you know, me reflecting, right, me going through that MBA school, me having that executive coach, now it threw me into that. Right. So now that, you know, throws me into not only the self-leadership stuff, but okay, now I got to grow myself with personal development. I got to read more books. I got to get smarter. Right. Not just on the technology stuff that I love, but just in general. Right. Talking to people, talking to strangers, talking to, you know, whoever. Right. But not only that, also understanding different tactics and strategies, right? How do you scale? How do you not scale, right? How do you cross the chasm, you know, as Gregory Moore says, right? From a marketing perspective. Right?
Wow.
How do you understand, you know, all these different things, right? And, you know, reading that book, Talking to Strangers, you know, he literally does a lot of, you know, a journey on all these different things that have happened in real life. And he dissects these interactions, right, into where these things went wrong, why these things ended up the way they ended up. You know, and it's a very powerful book too. You know, but I think that is what threw me into both personal and professional development. You know, that one inflection point. So I'm a huge student of inflection points, right, Juanita? I think a lot of times people need to understand inflection points. It's very key. because an inflection point can literally make you or break you in your business, in your career, and in your personal life.
Mm-hmm. That's leadership right there, because, as you were explaining, I love the way you articulated that, the journey that you took. That's leadership right there, because you chose what is difficult.
Yes.
It's not easy to get feedback that is not always pleasant on the ears. You could have just said, well, these people don't like my personality. I am who I am, and I'm going to stay that way. And that is how I'll grow in that direction. What you did was you went and you actually asked a wider array of other people, because your true purpose is to be the best leader that you can be. So you practiced leadership by choosing what was difficult, because you didn't know what feedback you were going to get.
No idea. I had no idea what I was going to get. I literally had absolutely no idea what was going to come out of that Mario self-study. But what came out of it, right, is one main thing that all of us have to have, which is the humbleness to understand where you need to grow.
I love that. Humility is key. I agree with you 110%. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What is the best type of leader or coach, and what would their qualities be?
To me, I think it's someone that empathizes, someone that doesn't try to push you in their direction more than guide you and I make a decision for you. I think as a coach and as a mentor, because I'm not, I guess maybe a coach too, but not. I don't think I consider myself too much of a coach, more than a mentor. My goal has always been to broaden the horizon of the thought. You're gonna have to choose the path. That's not me. My job is to show you a different thought process, to show you multiple paths, to show you potential outcomes are, good or bad. Right. That's my goal. Right. But to me, I think that's what makes the best coach, someone that listens and then looks into their own experiences and say, you know what, this happened to me. I went this route. You can try it. I don't know. Up to you. Yeah. But then I've also read a lot of different things that have shown, A, B, and C. Right. Whether it's a Harvard Business Review, whether it's books, whatever it is. Right. But that's how I see it.
I love it. I love it. I sat I was waiting at the dojo for our class to begin. And there was a smaller class before our class that started at the karate class. And a little boy walked up to the Kiyoshi and he said, he calls him Sensei, but it's actually 7th Dan as a Kiyoshi. So the little boy said, Sensei, which is the best coach? What is the best coach? Who is the best coach? Because they were talking about the rugby teams at school. And the sensei kept quiet. And the boy saw that he wasn't getting an answer. And he said, who is the best coach? And the sensei turned around to Kiyoshi and he said, the best coach is the honest one.
Yes.
And that made such an impact on me.
It's so true.
The best coach is the honest one.
I'll give you a story.
Yeah.
I'm really close friends with one of the guys out of my MBA program. And, I even bounced a lot of things with him. And there was an inflection point where I had to choose what career path I was going to take. He never told me what to decide. He gave me different scenarios. He gave me different things. But he did do one thing. Yeah. He wrote down what he thought.
Wow.
He wrote down what he thought, but he never showed it to me. And he said, when you make your decision, you tell me and I'll show you what I wrote down. Wow. And it doesn't matter if what I wrote down is different than what you chose. Right? Yeah. That's not the point. It's just what I think would be better for your growth.
Yeah.
Right?
So tell me now, I'm wondering. Huh? Yeah. I'm wondering now what you wrote and what you chose.
So no, he wrote to continue a certain path. And then I ended up choosing that same path. And I mean, he was really happy with it. He was ecstatic about it. But that right there is what a coach and a mentor is. He didn't tell me what to do. He didn't show me even what to do. He just said, you can go this way, you can go that way, right? He even said, get with the wife, write a bunch of stuff down, pros, cons, doesn't matter. And then go. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's just one example of many, and where I think coaching and mentoring are really, really highlighted.
Such an inspiration. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a wonderful practice. I've actually never heard of that approach. It's amazing. And
I never heard of it either. When he first did it, I was like, oh, okay. I'll take that one.
Because when we go to coaches, we kind of want them to tell us what to do and to show us. And he was like, no, you're going to figure this out on your own, which is amazing.
And understanding that, the need of the importance of having a coach and a mentor, I think, becomes more and more real as people grow.
Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. Do you perceive the onset of COVID-19 to have made the phenomenon of procrastination worse, or did it help individuals to break free from their constricting beliefs and lack of action?
I think what that did was you just saw people who they really were. I don't think that it made it worse or better. I just think that you as a leader understood who was going to give you results, whether they were in an office or not. And the way you worked, the way people worked, I don't think COVID-19 made any difference in that, because that's a personality that's ingrained in the human being, from my perspective, right? How hard you work, how you work. I mean, that's going to be the same whether you're home, whether you're in an office, whether you're at the beach. It doesn't matter. That's how I view it.
I agree with you, because actually, in my opinion, it actually highlighted who is more likely to procrastinate than others. Because when COVID hit some people, they just sat down and they were in turmoil. What's going to happen now? Nobody knew. We didn't know how long it was going to last. Other people didn't wait a day. They started companies. Some of them that had companies doubled their income. I know of corporate companies that doubled their income in 2020. They doubled their income again in 2021, and they're on their way to do it again this year. So I think it just highlighted, meaning that it brought things that people as leaders were going through to light. It showed them they were more likely to procrastinate, and it showed them the problem areas and what they need to address in their own personal journey. And for the other side, I mean, we cheer them on. We are so proud of them. But still, everybody has a journey. I mean, we all fall short. We all have things that we need to work on.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you on that. Their record sales in corporate America. Amazon hit record sales. Disney hit record sales. A bunch of people hit record sales.
Yeah. Good and bad results. Tell me, Mario, what was the hardest decision that you've ever had to make as a leader?
It's still the hardest to this day. I hate letting people go. It's to me the hardest thing as a leader to do. It's that, it's that one thing that I hate that aspect of it. And I always try to make it work. But obviously it's part of being a leader, right? Being able to say, what, it's time to move on. And to me, it's just tough. Like, I don't like it. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like the way it is. But to me, and to this day, I still don't like it. And a lot of it's because of the way my heart is, always trying to help people progress. But, it's one of those things as a leader that you have to understand that you have to do. And sometimes that's the difference between being successful and unsuccessful in projects and in what you're trying to accomplish. I don't like it. I'll never like it. But to me, that's to date still the hardest thing.
Absolutely. It's not always up to you as well. Sometimes it's just in your area of, part of your leadership that you have to be the one to let them go. It's not always up to you. It's not always you making that decision, but you have to lead and you have to do your job properly. So Thank you so much for that lovely answer, Mario. I really appreciate it. And it brings me to the next question. Do leaders have to have emotional intelligence, and why?
100%. And you know what? I'll even go a step further. Not just leaders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone on your team needs to have emotional intelligence. Everyone on your team needs that. I don't see how you can no longer not have that. And it's so funny. When you read studies now and you read like the Harvard Business Review, HBR, what do you hear now?
Yeah.
They no longer care about hard skills. Why? Because hard skills can be taught. You can teach a hard skill.
Yes.
But emotional intelligence, you can't teach that.
Yeah.
Right? Culture, fitting in,
Yes.
you can't teach that.
Yeah.
Communication styles, you can't teach that. Right? Those are 3 things that will literally break your team if the wrong person is hired.
Wow. Very important point that you're making.
Those are the things that I think every leader, whether you're an executive, whether you're a team leader, whether you're just a lead of, a small little piece of the project, you need to start thinking in those terms.
Yeah. You were saying about emotional intelligence. I think you are spot on. And in fact, actual fact, I know you are, because some things are taught and some things are caught. You can't teach, like you said, soft skills. It is either in the person or it is not.
Yes.
Very, very true. Yeah, absolutely. And it brings me to our second last question. What is next for you? What new projects are you working on?
I think what's next for me is concentrating on what I have going on now, right? Building that, really getting that further out, because I think that, to me, that's what is really going to help people.
Yeah.
And then from the perspective of, continue to mentor the next generation of leaders. I think that's also what's next, right? Whoever listens to this podcast, and if you want to reach out, to be mentored by me, just reach out. We can chat about it and I'll give you what I think. But to me, today is, I'm the guard, but one day I'll be the old guard. And it's about preparing the new guard coming in to continue all those things, right? Where you left off or where you didn't leave off.
Yeah.
So.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Yes, and we are going to make available all your contact details at the end of the session so that the audience can reach out to you either for your products, either for mentoring, more information that they want. So we are going to make that available after this session. And this brings us to our final question. And the session has really just flown because of this interesting conversation that we had. Thank you so much. And the final question is, do you have any words of wisdom for the audience?
Ooh, words of wisdom.
Yeah.
I would say for the young leaders, don't worry about your mistakes. We all make them. Learn from them and continue. I would say for the mid-level leaders that are trying to get to the next level into the executive rounds, find your champions. Find the people that can advocate for you. Because a lot of times people will not advocate for you. It's very true when they say that when you're not in a room, they're making decisions about you and you don't know it. That goal is to be strong enough and have a strong enough advocate when these decisions are being made that you're also being thought about.
Wow.
Right? Because that champion advocate will know your strengths. And I would say for executive leaders, that have reached, those VP, CEO, founder type levels, remember to stay humble.
Yeah.
That just because you made it to the top that doesn't mean you are the top.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone around you is continuing you to be the top. That's what I would say.
That is amazing. Powerful, powerful words of wisdom. Amazing. Thank you so much for a fantastic session. You are such an inspiration to us. We are going to cheer you on. We're going to watch you on social media. We're going to promote your products. And we know that you are making a positive difference. You are a benevolent leader. You are a humble leader. And you are someone that instills hope into other people's lives. And we want to commend you on that. Thank you so much for the leader that you are.
No, thank you, Juanita, for having me on the show. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Thank you very, very much. And to the Meticulous Moments audience, we will make Mario's contact details available at the end of the session. Please network with him, reach out to him, and follow him on social media, cheer him on. And we just wish you the best, Mario. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.
Thank you, Juanita. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.